Nobody is coming to hand you the life you keep dreaming about. No perfect moment is on its way. No door is going to open itself. At some point today, not tomorrow, you have to stop waiting and start moving. You have to take the risk. Here is something nobody ever warned you about. Everything in this life that is truly worth having sits on the other side of a risk you were too afraid to take. Every single thing, every dream that came true, every life that was transformed, every person who ever stood somewhere remarkable and said, "I made it," they all had one thing in common. At some point, they chose the leap over the ledge. They chose the unknown over the comfortable. And it cost them something. But what they gained on the other side was worth every single penny of that cost. There is a quote that has stayed with me for years. The idea that there is no passion, no real burning, get you out of bed at 5 in the morning passion in making yourself smaller than you are. In folding yourself up to fit into a life that was never big enough for you in the first place. And yet that is exactly what so many people do. Every single day, they trade the life they could be living for the life that feels the safest. And slowly, quietly, without even realizing it, they disappear. I do not want that for you. And deep down, I do not think you want that for yourself either. Now, I am willing to bet that at some point in your life, a parent, a teacher, a well-meaning friend, someone who genuinely loved you, sat you down and told you to always have a backup plan. Always keep something in reserve. Always make sure you have something to fall back on. And I understand where that advice comes from. I do. It comes from a place of care. But I want to challenge that thinking today, because I believe it has quietly stolen more dreams than failure ever has. Here is my issue with the idea of falling back. If I am going to fall and I will fall, we all will. I refuse to fall backwards. I want to fall forward, because at least that way I can see where I am headed. At least that way, every stumble is still carrying me in the right direction. Falling forward means that even my worst moments are working for me. Even my lowest points are building something. And that changes everything about how you face the hard days. So make a decision today. Wherever you are, whatever you are facing, fall forward. Now let me talk to you about something that feels uncomfortable, but is absolutely essential. You are going to fail. Not maybe. Not if things go wrong. You are going to fail. You are going to fall short of something you deeply wanted. You are going to pour everything you have into something and watch it fall apart. You are going to have moments where you feel completely exposed, completely out of your depth, completely unsure of whether you have what it takes. And the question is not whether those moments are coming. The question is, what are you going to do when they arrive? I want you to think about the greatest figures in any field you admire. The athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders, the ones whose names you know. What you see when you look at them is the finished product. You see the highlight reel, but what you do not see, what nobody talks about, is the mountain of failure those people climbed before they got there. A legendary athlete who struck out thousands of times, an inventor who ran experiment after experiment, failure after failure, before he finally held something in his hands that changed the course of human history. A writer rejected dozens of times before a single publisher said yes. Every failed attempt was not a step backwards. Every single one was a step closer. Every door that closed was redirecting them toward the one that was meant to open. And the only reason they eventually got there is because they refused to sit down and stay down. I know this personally. I am not speaking from a theory. I am speaking from the scars. Early in my career, I walked into an audition for a role I was absolutely convinced belonged to me. I had prepared. I had visualized it. I had told myself this was the moment. There was just one problem standing between me and that part I could not sing. Not even close. And they let me know it. Kindly but clearly, I was not what they were looking for. And I walked out of that room with two options in front of me. I could decide that rejection was a signal to quit, or I could decide that rejection was simply information and keep going. I kept going. I prayed. I prepared. I showed up to the next audition, and the one after that, and the one after that. And for a long time, nothing worked. The doors kept closing. The calls kept not coming. And I will be honest with you, there were moments of real doubt, moments where the voice in my head was louder than my belief. But I did not stop. And 30 years later, I found myself standing on the very stage where I had first been turned away, this time as the lead. Full circle. The same room that once said no eventually became the room that celebrated everything I had built since walking out of it. That is what falling forward looks like in real life. It is not clean. It is not fast, but it is always worth it. So let me ask you something directly. If you are not failing at anything right now, what does that tell you? It tells you that you are not reaching far enough. It tells you that you are operating inside a comfort zone that is slowly becoming a cage. The edge of your potential is not where things feel easy. The edge of your potential is where things feel uncertain and uncomfortable and a little bit terrifying. That is where growth actually lives. To stand somewhere you have never stood, you have to do something you have never done. That is not a motivational phrase, that is a law. You cannot expect a different result from the same actions. You cannot build a new life with the same thinking that built the old one. Something has to shift, and that shift starts with the decision to stop playing it safe. Now I want to paint a picture for you, and I need you to really sit with this. Imagine your final day. You are at the very end of your journey, and gathered around you are not your loved ones, but the living shadows of everything you never became. The version of you that never launched the idea. The gift you kept telling yourself you would share when the time was right. The dream you postponed so many times it eventually stopped knocking. The relationship you were too proud to repair. The words you meant to say but never did. And they are not standing there grieving. They are standing there frustrated because they were yours. They were assigned to you specifically. They were waiting inside of you, ready to be brought into the world through your hands, your voice, your courage. And now, because you ran out of time, they have to leave with you. Unrealized, unseen, gone. How many of those shadows are you already carrying? I want you to think about that question seriously. Not as a guilt trip, but as a wake-up call. Because the beautiful thing is, you are still here. You still have time. The shadows have not given up on you yet. But that window does not stay open forever, and the cost of waiting is always higher than the cost of trying. Let me shift for a moment and talk about something that does not get nearly enough attention. What you have is not the question. The question is what you are going to do with what you have. Some of you have financial resources. Some of you have time that others would envy. Some of you have a gift for making people feel seen and valued. Some of you have a patience that could move mountains if you pointed it in the right direction. Some of you carry a vision so clear and so specific that it wakes you up in the middle of the night. That thing inside of you that is not an accident, that is not random, that was placed there with intention. And the world is not just waiting for you to use it one day. The world needs you to use it now. There are people right now who are waiting for the thing that only you can give them. There are problems in this world that only your specific combination of experience, personality, and passion can solve. And every day you spend sitting on that gift is a day that the people who needed it went without it. That is not a small thing. That is the weight of your purpose. Now, let me be real with you about the journey, because too many people give up right before the breakthrough. Your path is never going to be a straight line. Nobody's is. I started in one direction, changed course, stumbled badly, watched things fall apart around me, and found myself at 20 years old sitting at what felt like the absolute bottom, academically finished, directionless, embarrassed, and it was in that low, quiet, humbling place that something unexpected happened. A woman, someone I barely knew, looked at me and spoke something over my life that I was not ready to receive. She said that I would one day travel the world and speak to millions of people. And I held on to that word. I did not understand it. I could not see how it was possible from where I was standing, but I held it and I moved toward it. One uncomfortable, uncertain, imperfect step at a time. And here is what I have learned from that journey. The lowest points in your life are rarely the ending. More often than not, they are the setup. They are the part of the story that makes everything that comes after it mean something. Do not write yourself off in a chapter that has not finished yet. Taking a risk is not just about a career move or a business decision. It goes much deeper than that. It is about choosing to be open. Open to people who do not look like you or think like you. Open to ideas that challenge everything you thought you knew. Open to possibilities that do not fit neatly into the plan you made for yourself at 19. The chances you take, the connections you build, the moments you choose faith over fear, those are the things that will shape the texture of your life. Not your grades, not your title, not how safe you played it. The real story of your life is written in the moments where you were brave enough to show up fully. Never allow discouragement to become your permanent address. Never let one closed door convince you that the building has no other way in. Give everything you have, in every room you enter, at every stage of your journey. And when life knocks you down, because it will, I promise you, it will do not stay there. Fall forward, not backward into what is safe and familiar, not sideways into distraction and excuse. Forward, Always forward, because every fall that carries you forward is still progress. Every failure that pushes you ahead is still movement. And as long as you are moving, as long as you refuse to sit down and give up on what you were built for, your story is still being written. So here is my challenge to you as I close. Stop treating your dream like a maybe. Stop scheduling your greatness for someday. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to become everything you already know you are capable of becoming. The permission you are looking for does not live in someone else's hands. It never did. It is yours. It has always been yours. Get uncomfortable, get it wrong, get back up, fall forward into the next attempt, and the one after that, and the one after that, until the day comes when you are standing somewhere remarkable, looking back at every stumble that brought you here, grateful that you never once chose the safety of standing still over the adventure of truly living. The world does not need a reserved version of you. It does not need the version of you that played it small and stayed in the lines. It needs the full, unfiltered, all-in version of you, the one that shows up even when it is hard, even when it is scary, even when nobody else believes it is possible. That version of you, that is the one that changes things. Now go, fall forward, and do not stop until you get there. If something in this message landed for you today, if a single line stirred something that had been sitting quiet inside of you, drop your comment below and tell me what it was. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you are not yet part of this community, hit that subscribe button right now. There is more coming, and I do not want you to miss a single word of it.